Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Today, I'm going to discuss CERN, which originally stood for the Council for European Nuclear Research. And it basically deals with particle physics. And it's a very well-known and controversial place that's like a compound, essentially, that has the Large Hadron Collider, which basically is like a giant, massive tunnel that activates particles, and it excites the particles, shoots them around this giant tube, and it collides them together. And they do all kinds of experiments, and it's been a very controversial place because some people believe it has nefarious uses, while others in the science community will say it's cutting edge science. So I'm going to do a short video about it. Some people had mentioned it and asked me to talk about it. So let's get right into it. Yeah, we'll do this first. So let's look at CERN Uncovered, Secret Science and Controversies, the world's biggest physics experiment. And now it's just called the European Organization for Nuclear Research. A global hub for particle physics pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Founded in 1954 near Geneva, Switzerland, it has 23 member states collaborating on fundamental physics, and it's home to the world's largest particle accelerator. It was founded in 1954, originally with 12 member countries: Belgium, Denmark, France, the Federal Republic of Germany, Greece, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, and Yugoslavia. And in 1989, the Large Electron Positron Collider, that's that giant tunnel. Here, let me do this. That was created, and they started doing these groundbreaking experiments, as usually happens with major advancements in technology. In 2008, it officially goes live. This was a major project to build it. It's the world's most powerful particle accelerator. It activates and smashes protons of unprecedented energy levels. Now, in 2012, you may have heard about this. Scientists confirm the God particle, validating the standard model of particle physics after decades of search. And it was called the Higgs boson particle, and it was coined the God particle. And then in the 2020s, here, let's pull it up here. It was upgraded, and they established future plans. The High Luminosity Large Hadron Collider upgrades underway. Future circular collider concepts push the boundaries of known physics. Now, here's where it starts to get into the controversial aspects. And you may have heard there are many different sort of controversial aspects about this place, the operations being conducted there. And we'll get into that a little bit. I always talk about, or I certainly have talked about it in the past, how, they trust the experts, trust the scientists. But, you don't know what the real motives are behind these large multinational projects. You don't know what their true motivations are. Just like with these globalist organizations like the World Health Organization and even the United Nations and NATO and these other globalist organizations that build consensus about whatever the different field is. And so you have to look at these things and ask the questions. What are they really doing? Is it advancing science in a way that benefits humanity? Or are they playing God, so to speak? So we'll get into all of that. But there have been a lot of controversies and conspiracy theories about what is really going on there. What kind of large scale impact is it having on the world? Just like with geoengineering, just like with the HARP compound, the HARP research project in Alaska. People, things are always created with this idea of, oh, it's advancing science and it's cutting edge research. But the question is, and the big problem is, are powerful people abusing these technologies and not being honest with the public about what they're really doing and their true motives? So that we'll get into that. I'll go through this a little bit more here. So the Large Hadron Collider, world's most powerful particle accelerator. Let me throw this up full screen. Built beneath the Franco-Swiss border, the LHC pushes the boundaries of human knowledge. It's 27 kilometers in circumference, larger than a city. It accelerates particles to 99.9999% the speed of light, collides protons at 13 TeV energy levels. It generates 600 million collisions per second. Every collision is a window into the fundamental fabric of the universe. Major discoveries, as I mentioned, the Higgs boson, the quote-unquote God particle in 2012, the W and Z bosons, experiment proof of the electroweak force unifying the electromagnetism and weak nuclear force, antimatter studies. This is a really controversial one. Probing the universe's matter antimatter imbalance, why matter dominates over antimatter. The quark gluon plasma, recreating conditions in microseconds after the Big Bang, so glimpses into the early universe. Because one of the things that's controversial about it is the creation of matter, of particles. And does that have a larger effect on the universe? The quark gluon plasma, recreating conditions microseconds after the Big Bang, glimpses into the early universe. So these type of studies, there's always been this discussion about how the universe was created. The Big Bang theory is the prominent one. And then ongoing research pushing the boundaries of particle physics with higher energies and deeper cosmic mysteries. Social and scientific controversies. Ethical concerns. Are high energy experiments crossing ethical boundaries in science? Safety fears. Could the LHC create black holes or trigger an Earth-ending event? Funding disputes. Is funding fundamental research justified over pressing global needs, right? So think about it. These large organizations, they spend billions of dollars on these projects while clearly humanity is suffering in many ways, socially, geopolitically, economically, and all these powerful entities are investing in these large scale research projects. And in many cases, we don't really know the truth about what they're working on. Alternative theories. Does the standard model have serious challenges we're ignoring? Public perception. How has media sensationalism distorted public trust in CERN? Now, again, of course, powerful entities will always push back and say, oh, we're just doing cutting edge science. But oftentimes, when you have powerful globalist interests, oftentimes you find out later that what they were doing was not in the best interest of society at large. In fact, it might be detrimental to human interests. So, for example, some of the controversies, are they creating potentially the world conditions, global conditions that are detrimental to the earth and to life on earth? Because when you start experimenting with matter and antimatter and even like gravity and fundamental aspects of physics, you have to wonder, do they really, since they're doing cutting edge science, do they really know what things they could create or what conditions they could cause? So I tend to be distrustful of these large globalist organizations for the simple fact that they've oftentimes not been held accountable for problems that they've caused. So separate scientific fact from public fear. What does the evidence actually say about CERN safety? I'm having obviously some formatting issues here. Expert oversight. LHC operations monitored 24/7 by the world's top physicists and engineers. Safety reviews. Independent safety reviews confirm zero evidence of existential threats from collider experiments. Conspiracy fears. Apocalyptic rumors claim CERN could create black holes or tear open dimensional portals. That's one I'll talk about in a minute. Media panic. Sensational media and misinformation fueled public fear far beyond any scientific basis. Now, think about it. How many times have we been told, the trust the experts narrative, and it's safe and effective, and it's going to benefit everybody. It's for your own good, it's for your safety, or it's to advance science. And then you find out later, just like just about everything else that happens on a geopolitical level, you have certain players that are meddling in things that have a negative impact on society and on humanity. We've seen enough evidence of it. And so this whole misinformation from the media and so on and so forth is a standard tactic used by the powerful global elite who believe that it's their destiny to control the universe. I mean, Elon Musk's been talking about going to Mars, and it's like it's an imperative thing. Meanwhile, we are struggling here on Earth with constant wars, with economic instability, with all these powerful banking interests and corporate interests co-opting governments and co-opting where our tax dollars go to. Our country participates in all these organizations, yet what benefits are people actually seeing in their day-to-day lives? If all of that money that's supposed to be advancing science was focused first on taking care of the everyday concerns of citizens, then I can say once you solve world hunger, once you solve homelessness, once you solve economic issues, then you could start to spend billions of dollars on these cutting edge scientific experiments. And so to me, that is the issue. That's why I wanted to speak about this, because we're living in a time now where it's trust us, bro. We're just we're just doing science. But they're not transparent with citizens around the world about everything else. So why would they be transparent about what's really going on at CERN? All right, so let's get back to it here. I'm going to pull it back up. And most debated claims around CERN. Some say CERN is opening gateways to other dimensions. Is it science or science fiction? Black hole creation myths, time travel speculation, secret government project allegations, allegations of occult symbolism, parallel universe theories. Now, that's something that's been discussed, the whole idea of a multiverse. Again, formatting issues, criticisms, and CERN's responses. Common concerns about CERN's work and how the organization responds to each challenge. Funding concerns. Excessive funding for unclear or distant benefits. Knowledge and innovation. Driving fundamental knowledge and tech innovation. Public complexity. Complexity alienates public understanding of research. They always use that. You wouldn't understand it. Outreach and impact. Extensive public outreach and full transparency. They're always going to have a counter argument to any concerns that the public has about anything they do. CERN's global impact. 10,000 plus scientists from 100 plus countries collaborate at CERN. It's the birthplace of the World Wide Web, advancing medical, imaging, cancer therapy, and computing. And this is just a breakdown of different portions that they work on. I mean, it's fairly well balanced between international collaboration, computing and web technology, particle physics discoveries, and I'm not exactly sure that one's blocked by a little graphic. Medical and therapy related research. The future of CERN. LHC upgrades, pushing to higher energies and unprecedented collision precision. Future circular collider, next generation 100-kilometer collider planned to succeed the current Large Hadron Collider. Dark matter exploration, this is a controversial one. Probing cosmic mysteries, what makes up 27% of the universe. Antimatter research, unlocking why matter dominates over antimatter in the cosmos. Global collaboration, strengthening ties across 100 plus nations for humanity's deepest questions. I would I would I would argue that they may not be looking for solutions to humanity's problems and deepest questions. All right, so I always say, you know, you have to dig deeper. You know, you have to do your own research. And of course, please like and subscribe to this video. I think that some of these topics, I'm not a physics expert. So for me, it's difficult to really speak about the in and outs of physics on any high level. I did study the basics of quantum physics years ago, just out of curiosity. I read a few books about it and started to become somewhat interested in it, but my knowledge of it is extremely cursory. So I can't speak about it with expertise. And I'm sure all these physicists will rave about how amazing CERN is. But remember, a lot of these scientists, they need funding. And if their research is controversial and it does not have a lot of public support, they're going to come together and push the narrative. Trust us, bro. We're just doing cutting edge research. It's for the good of humanity. But whenever you have, for example, a theory about something, theories exist for many years and then oftentimes they get disproven. Fundamental aspects of quote unquote accepted science exist for years and years and years, and then they get disproven down the road. Now, think about it. If science, cutting edge science, is implemented into everyday life, and then we find out later that it's harmful, the damage is often already done. For example, cellular service, cell towers, radiation from cell phones. That was something that was studied and shown in a long-term study that the radio frequencies from phones can cause brain tumors with people like holding their phones up to their head. Now we have Wi-Fi, we have 5G, soon it'll be 6G, and everywhere is exposed to large, large windows of radiation. It's just part of everyday life, and it's just accepted. But will we find out in the future that it's harmful? But yet all these corporations and US intelligence and all the intelligence agencies around the world utilize these frequencies for data collection, for metadata, for communication. It's something that people should be concerned about, but everybody's busy with their everyday lives, and we like to have our cell phones, and we like to have our laptops and our Wi-Fi and all these technologies. But you also have to look at, are there detrimental effects? And do these corporations care about the well-being of humanity? I would argue no. They care about their profit margins. And so I would essentially urge everybody to start being more engaged about these things that are just accepted as parts of our society, parts of our everyday life. Anyway, I just wanted to give a brief overview about CERN, and as I always do, discuss the big picture implications of it. So do your own research. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Right now, I'm planning to do another live Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to try to release another pre-recorded video this week. And I may be on, depending when you see this video, I may be on Birdie Bombshells this Wednesday. And in the future, I might start doing a late night stream on Wednesday night. So a late night live on Wednesday night. So join the Discord, pay attention to the community tab on my YouTube channel, and I'll give updates there. I hope everybody has a great day. I'll see you guys soon.